together with Amita and the CII Secretariat. Thank Dr. Janmajay Sinha for his leadership in putting the content. And of course, I welcome Professor Amit Joshi of IMD here this morning. So, friends, I'm just going to take a few minutes because I know there's a lot of important content to follow. And the video has outlined a lot on what we are trying to do at the center, as well as the introductory comments by Mr. Mukandan has already put the context. On my behalf, I would just like to say that our family feels deeply honored and privileged to participate with CII in setting up this center, which is named after the chairman of our group, Mr. Suresh Nyotia. Unfortunately, he left us about 10 years ago, so he's not here with us now. But he did leave behind a significant contribution in the field of business, philanthropy, and promotion of the arts. And we as a family have inherited that great legacy, which we are trying to uphold. And one of the initiatives is the center. The center was conceptualized to give special focus towards leadership building, not just in industry, but across. And as we move now into a very disruptive age where you wake up every morning to some both astonishing news and also sometimes frightening news of major strides being taken, whether it's in geopolitics, whether it's in technology, in robotics, in so many different areas, that I think leadership has taken a very different and perhaps a very significant spot in how to navigate through all these challenges. In the past, we usually set a direction and then everyone followed. But now that direction may need to be changed every now and then because uh, new things are cropping up at a speed at which we have never seen before. And therefore, the ability to adapt, the ability to change, and yet be rooted to values is where the trick lies. When we change and we become uh, not rooted to some fundamental values, then we become untrustworthy and we become not dependable. I think the cornerstone of any long-term sustainable leadership is about trust. The other thing that I feel, and I was hearing a podcast or an interview of Jack Ma, and he said, we have come to an age when machines will always be able to think smarter, be smarter, be able to answer faster than we can think and process. But the one thing that we haven't yet been able to get machines to do is to uh, feel the way we feel as human beings. And he said, we can make them smart, but we can't make the machines wise. And therefore, the leadership of tomorrow is less about being smart and more about being wise. Smartness is about analytical ability, it's about what your mind says, but wisdom comes from the core of your heart. And I think this is an age where we have to give a lot of importance to what the heart says and how we feel about things. Because otherwise, the mind is like a very sharp weapon which can cut either way. It can cut in the direction of your choice and sometimes also hurt you. And therefore, the only way that you can guide the knife or the instrument purposefully in a direction of your choice is when you apply values and you apply emotions. Therefore, to me, and I think all of you will agree, that sustainable leadership will come out of responsibility on how we think, how we feel, how we emote, and how we build in compassion. We are already seeing a world where there is huge increase in disparity of income. Uh, we are, of course, celebrating and applauding some of the achievers, but we should be also conscious that these lead to some stress in the system, and we need to lift the entire boat in some proportion to what the top is doing, because if the wide gap becomes even wider, there will be an unbridgeable chasm that perhaps can be uh, problematic in the future. So I leave you with these thoughts. I just want to conclude by thanking Amita and the CII team. One of the interesting things that when she took charge of looking after the CII Suresh Neotia Center, she said, we are always confining ourselves to doing things at the center or in the city of Calcutta. We should think about taking some of the activities of the center outside. So this is the first initiative, Hub Brainwave, and I think that's a wonderful way of bringing the ideas that are being developed and promoted at the center to reach a wider audience across the cities of India, and starting off right here in our financial capital of our country, Mumbai, and hopefully it will travel to other cities in the future. So thank you, Amita, for this very, very interesting idea. And of course, the incredible machinery of CII supporting it. We have such a wonderful lineup of speakers and participants. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Mr. Noiti. I think before we proceed, we have an important task. I think we had requested the leaders who have done wonderful work in the past and who are continuing to do wonderful work now to pen their thoughts on their view of the leadership lesson. And I think there was a condition put, it cannot be more than about 1,000 odd words. I mean, there was no hard and fast, but so that it comes truly from the heart and states the things which we need to do. And I think this has now come out as a coffee table book called Leadership Reset. And we will inaugurate it. But I just want to say that on a wonderful address, going beyond Calcutta, Calcutta, of course, is the cultural capital of India in many ways, the city of joy. We want to spread the joy everywhere. That's what we want to do. And morning, I was sitting with Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan. He said everything, and there must be metrics for everything. So I thought, what can be the metric for Neotia Center? Because when you sit with a leader like that and he has put a challenge. So actually, I coined it there on the basis of someone who told me a number, which Amita is aware. So we are not going to steal the thunder. The process will unfold. The metric we want to do, again, I want to tell you, is to touch 3,000 companies in 3 years. That's what we want to do. So I want each one of you who is inspired by that mission to connect with Amita, because we want to actually channelize that energy through each one of you here, and more to join, because as many companies we can touch, we can transform, and through this transformation of these 3,000 companies, we can make little impact on India's journey ahead. But before that, I think let's have the inauguration of that, launch of that book, Leadership Reset. It'll be on your tables very soon. I request everybody on the dais to do the needful. It gives me great pleasure now to invite the architect of this entire day, which is unfolding, so that then sets the pace for what you're going to see and do. Dr. Janmajay Sinha to come and give his special presentation to all of you. As usual, it'll set you thinking and set you to search. I think it's an important process. Over to you, Janmaja. Big round of applause.
Mr. Neotia, my friend Mukundam, Professor Joshi, and my even stronger friend Amita, who harasses us every day, for whenever she feels that we are not being active enough. So I've been asked, very briefly and quickly to talk about leading in today's environment. So I decided I'll do two things. First, I'm not going to allow you all to sit quietly and just listen. And I'm going to break it up into a leader and then into a CEO. So when I use the word leader, what image, which person's image comes to your mind? I can even run inside the audience and start giving you all a mic. So please shout out. Who do you think is a leader? So I heard Gandhi, which is really helpful because I have his picture. So and as long as I'm in India, it never fails. When I ask for a leader, I always manage to get Gandhi. Now the question is, what are leadership tenets that people like Gandhi and Mandela and others demonstrate? And I have put 10 out there, and then you should just reflect. Do these resonate? So, no one has all these tenets, but all good leaders have many of these. So, as we think about it, you should ask yourself, how many of these do I have and do I show or do I demonstrate? The first job of a leader is to create a cause, make it worthy, create excitement, develop pride, and then commit to it. Just because you are leading, your team doesn't want to make you great. They want to be part of something great. So you must create a cause. Gandhi created a cause which all of India joined, right? And the second thing that the leader must do is inspire by setting the bar beyond the grasp. If it's very easy, then it's not fun. So it must be beyond the grasp. It should be more demanding than understanding, but it should be fair. And then every leader builds a strong team. And they build a strong team by giving it space, the team. They create stars. They don't want to be a star, but they want to earn the respect of their stars. They encourage people by believing in people more than they do in themselves. If you were in America, they would say they have their back. They are visible and they are accessible. But they don't do the job of others. They encourage the others to do their own jobs. They accept challenge. They get people to speak the truth. But they, after a point, do cut disparaging cynics. They don't mind skeptics, but they don't encourage cynics. They have execution discipline, they have courage, and they tend to support the doers and not the tellers. They also have this amazing ability to take themselves out of the equation. Apparently, Ram Manohar Lohia once asked Mahatma Gandhi, "What is the secret of your success?" So Gandhiji said, "I don't really know, but maybe the people of India have noticed that I don't ask anyone to do something that I have not done myself before." So even in the Dandi March. And they are authentic and confident. They manage emotion and morale. So they do both things. They curb exuberance and they curb despondency. And finally, they provide street lighting. They fill the collective action gap, so to speak. Teams want their leaders sitting on the table. So imagine Nelson Mandela going for that, discussion with de Klerk. He was in jail, and he said, "No, but I want my trousers to be fitting, so that when I sit on that table, he knows he is negotiating not with a prisoner, but with a representative of the people." So this is what, now I am coming to something that Mukundan might hit me after this, but we are coming to just CEOs. What can a CEO do? What can Mukundan do? What can Acharya do? What can these people actually do? They can only do 4 things. That's it. They can obtain alignment on a worthy aspiration for their company. They can allocate resources, capital, and people. They can create a champion team. And then they can allocate their own time, the quantity of their time efficiently and with more or less energy. If they're doing anything else, they're doing somebody else's job. That's it. These are the only 4 things they can do. Now, Mr. Neotia said current times are different. Today, if you're a CEO, and all of you, what is different? Today, the first thing a CEO has to do is to conserve cash, conserve the balance sheet. They have to balance prudence. They have to balance ambition with prudence. To finish first, they must first finish. Very important, because every day something changes. If the person gets up from the left side of the bed, something happens. If you get up from the right side of the bed, something else happens. It's quite difficult. But you can't get paralyzed. You have to be consistently investing also. Selectively, but continuously. And you have to be, the current fashionable word is agile, which basically means you have to be fast and decisive in reacting. You need to know your business well enough to know I have to react to this. But finally, Mukundan started with this, that what Mr. Tata told them, you must have a purpose, you must have a company anchored in purpose. So despite all the currents and the waves and the and the tsunamis, you must know your North Star. That's what a CEO has to do today. And remember, the CEO can only do those 4 things. Then, how does a CEO today try and anticipate change. What are 3 questions for the modern day leader? Mr. Neotia was saying, earlier we used to plan and then everyone used to go ahead and do it. And there is a beautiful TED talk by a lady called Rosalind Torres. It's a 9-minute talk. And if you even skip the first 2 minutes, it's a 6-7-minute talk. It's worth it. It's worth listening. She says all modern day leaders have to answer 3 questions. Where are you looking to anticipate change? How do you answer this question? It's actually very simple. Just look at your calendar. How are you spending your time? If you look at how you are spending your time, it gives you a very clear understanding of where you are looking for change. Because that's all you've got. You've got time. And you look at your calendar, it's telling you where you are spending your time. So if you're trying to anticipate change, working 24 hours a day, closed in your office, I imagine you will miss most of the change. You'll work very hard, but change is going to surprise you. You have to be out there. Second question, and this is the most important actually. What is the diversity measure of your network? Who do you meet? You meet your leadership team 6 times a day, 10 times a week. Who do you meet? It's a very important question. Because groupthink is paralyzing. Everyone wants to tell you what everyone else is saying so that they don't look stupid. If you agree with everyone and all of you are wrong, you're at least not stupid. You're just wrong. But you are bloody wrong. And your company is dead. So you need to have diversity in your network. You need to meet different kinds of people. You have to meet people who are not like you. And you have to listen to what they say, not tell them what you feel. And I tell you, getting CEOs to listen, non-trivial. Non-trivial. But they need to. Otherwise, you'll be caught off guard. Somebody in that group is experiencing things, feeling things, saying things that if you listen to, might just alert you. We can criticize Trump as much as we want. But in 2015 and 16, he read the mood of the people. So, very important. And then the third is an attribute. Rabindranath Tagore, if you are talking about a center based out of Calcutta, he said, Ekla chalo. Meaning in the sense you must have the courage to challenge the naysayers and say, I have to abandon the past. I have to move forward. And I have to move forward differently. When you do this, are as uncomfortable as you can possibly be. It is gut-wrenching. It is not comforting, but you need to commit. And you need to commit based on your analysis and getting comfort on your analysis, which is not talking to just the same people, doing it in that sense. So what I've just done is I wanted to give you a sense of a great leader and then bring it down to normal people who happen to become CEOs. And how should they, what are the things that they have control over? What do they do when things suddenly become tight? And how should they look to anticipate change? So finally, I'll end with a quote from Quincy Adams, which says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader. When you go out, do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Janmajay. As always, thought-provoking, deep for reflection, and also rooted in a lot of action. So, a wonderful set of, many of us took screenshots of your, hopefully Amita will circulate that. I now have a lot of privilege and happiness in requesting our next keynote speaker, Dr. Amit Joshi. He's Professor of AI, Analytics, and Marketing Strategy. After having learned about leadership, here is the wave which you're going to learn about. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukundan. Thank you to the CII for inviting me. Thank you very much to Mr. Neotia. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha. So as you folks know, I'm an academic. I'm neither a leader nor a CEO. So in true academic fashion, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to summarize what they've already said in different language and just make it sound slightly intelligent, right? So if you will, bear with me. That's my agenda for the next few minutes. The way I see it is that the world we live in is changing rapidly. And the why, the who, and the how of how you do business, how you add value, and what it means for the country is changing very, very differently. So let me just talk you through this, and then maybe I can just spend a minute or two on what that means for you as leaders. So first of all, the why. We've already had discussion of Trump. We've already had discussion a little bit of tariffs. To me, Trump is a symptom, not a cause. So when Trump goes away, I don't think much is going to change. The tariffs are here to stay. They might go down, they might go up. The uncertainty is here to stay. The multipolar world is here to stay. You know, the beautiful world we were so used to for the last 80 years, essentially since our independence, since the end of the Second World War, I think it's pretty much done. It's unlikely that just in 3 years, because an election happens in a country in the West, that suddenly everything in the world is going to change. I think that's extremely unlikely. So the why of why we need to change, I think it's super clear. It's that everything around us, the ground beneath our feet is shifting as we speak. So if we don't change, like Mr. Sinha said, we'll likely be dead. Simultaneously, the who we serve is also changing rapidly. By this, I mean the demographics. The demographics are changing in different directions. India is still fairly young, but for the first time in history, I think it was 2 years ago, India's birth rate fell below replacement rate, which is an incredible statistic if you really think about it. Yeah? Replacement rate, as you all know, is 2.1 children per woman. India is at 2.06, if I'm not mistaken. The rest of the developed world has been well below replacement rate for decades now, including China. So the downward pressures on population is going to mean that the type of customers that you serve is going to be fundamentally different. So not only the why is different, but the who you serve, who we all serve, is going to be fundamentally different. And then finally, I am the professor of AI, so I have to talk about AI, and that comes to the how. How you create value, how you capture value. That is going to fundamentally change. The thing that ChatGPT did, I mean, it's not like AI is new. You all know this. All of your companies have been applying AI for decades. There's absolutely nothing new about it. What really changed on that morning of the 30th of November 2022, when ChatGPT was launched, was not that we suddenly invented AI. AI had been around for decades. It's that we all woke up, and if you essentially had an internet connection, you had access to the smartest AI ever created. So 5 billion of us woke up on this planet with AI in their pockets. But this was a fundamental change. Not the fact that AI had been invented, AI has been around for a while. But this access is something that's fundamentally different. And what this means is how you create value in the products, in the services that you folks work on, how you capture that value, that will need to fundamentally change. Now, we can think of this either as a crisis or as an opportunity. And I agree with what the esteemed panel before me has said. I do think this is a massive, massive opportunity. This is a massive opportunity for you as leaders. This is a massive opportunity for Indian businesses. And I strongly feel this is a massive opportunity for India as a nation. Okay? I'm just going to add a couple of things in terms of leadership, what you need to do differently as leaders, or perhaps continue doing as leaders what you might already be doing. I will not be as deep or as profound as Mr. Sinha before me, but I just have the A, B, and C's of leadership with me. Yeah? So what do I mean by the A, B, and C's? A is agility, which you've already spoken about. The technology, the world is so volatile that what worked even in the recent past is unlikely to work today. You know, I remember reading a very, very logical reason for why we should respect our elders. And every culture for millennia has had a tenet that we should respect our elders. And the logic behind that was pretty simple, which is that our elders have knowledge which we don't have, and which is still applicable for our generation. And that is why respecting elders and listening to what they say makes sense. Because the world used to shift relatively slowly. Now, I'm not advocating not respecting our elders anymore. I think that we should still do. But the point I'm trying to make is that perhaps some of the learning, some of the understandings that the previous generation incorporated may no longer be as applicable today. So being agile, rethinking our core assumptions on which we make our businesses is critical. B is for bravery. You're going to have to be brave, right? Business as usual will probably not work over the next few years. Like I said, this change is happening just too fast. And relatedly, C is curiosity. We cannot really learn about this new technology. We really cannot learn about what's happening in the new world. And this goes back to the point again Mr. Sinha made. What's your network like? We cannot learn this by watching a YouTube video. You have to experience this yourself. You have to be out there. You've got to see what customers are experiencing, what your employees are experiencing, what other leaders are experiencing, people who are not like you. And that curiosity is really what will drive you forward. Yeah. I strongly believe that this thing, these three forces, the why, the who, and the how, it's going to have fundamental impacts on businesses going forward. I do think that every job will change a little bit. Every job is going to change by a little bit over the next 3 to 5 years. So 80% of jobs will change by at least 20%. But 20% of jobs will change by 80%, which means 20% of our jobs are going to be completely disrupted in how we deliver value. And this is where you as leaders and CEOs have a massive role to play. I'm a massive optimist, not just in the future of technology, but in the future of Indian industry and in the future of India as a country. And I look forward, really, to an amazing decade or two coming up for your businesses and for the country. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Amit. what we had is the opening act. They always say opening act must set the stage. But we got many more acts to follow, each one interesting as the chapters unfold. And the finale, of course, is the closing act. You must finish strong. And that's what we're going to do today. So I think save your energy for the entire day. And as you said, ABC. So if you remember that agility, bravery, and curiosity, I'm going to leave you with a question. Which animal comes to your mind whose picture you're going to keep in your room to display the characteristics of someone who wants to lead? So, one action for you, think of that animal. It could be anyone. Put the picture in your room and then look at it every day so that you don't forget A, B, C, which is agility, bravery, and curiosity. Thank you. Thank you to the entire set of panelists. Big round of applause to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll just take a couple of minutes to quickly change over the top table, and then we'll get into the next session.